I'll never forget the day I walked out of that German prison, the iron gates clanging shut behind me. The air smelled of freedom, crisp, cool, and a little overwhelming. My name's Jackie, and after years locked up for a bank heist that made headlines, I was finally a free man. I swore to myself I'd leave the criminal life behind, live honest, and never look back. In my pocket, I had an old phone and some cash I'd swiped from inside the prison. Not exactly the honest start I'd planned, but old habits die hard. To celebrate, I grabbed a six-pack of beers, the bottles clinking as I carried them down the street, my heart pounding with the thrill of a new beginning. I called my old pal Jeneb, my voice shaky with excitement. He pulled up in his beat-up car, grinning like a kid, and we hugged like brothers. Over the rumble of the engine, I asked about the $1 million I'd stolen, the money I'd entrusted to him before they locked me up. "It's safe, Jackie," he said, his eyes gleaming. "Buried underground, secure as a vault." My chest swelled with relief. That money was my ticket to a fresh start, but when Jeneb drove me to the spot, my jaw dropped. Where my fortune was supposedly buried, there stood a shiny new school gymnasium. "What have you done, Jeneb?" I shouted, my voice cracking. "You buried my money under a gym?" He scratched his head, explaining how the area was empty when he hid it years ago. Now it was a fortress of concrete and kids. My dream of an easy life crumbled like the dirt we couldn't dig. We had to come up with a plan. That night, trouble found me again. In a smoky club, a gangster I owed 200,000 euros cornered me, his fists slamming into me like a storm. I pleaded for time, my voice hoarse, promising to pay him back. Desperate, I also begged for a place to stay. He tossed me the keys to a dingy room, his eyes cold as steel. Alone in that room, I paced, the floor creaking under my boots. The gym was the key to my money, but how could I get in? Then it hit me. Get a job at the school. Not as a teacher, I barely made it past 6th grade, but as a security guard. I could scope the place, plan a way to tunnel in and grab my cash. The next morning, I walked into the school, the halls buzzing with chaos. Kids were everywhere, shouting, shoving, and pulling pranks. I met a teacher named Lacy, her smile so naive it almost hurt to look at. As she led me to the interview room, I noticed a "kick me" sign taped to her back. I didn't say a word, but my gut twisted. Something was off about this place. In the waiting room, a long line of job applicants stretched out and my heart sank. I couldn't compete with them. Then I spotted a fire alarm. My old instincts kicked in. I pulled it, the siren blaring, and watched everyone scatter like roaches. As the principal tried to flee, I grabbed a kid by the hair, stuck gum on him, and told the principal, "This punk set off the alarm." It worked. He ushered me inside for the interview. He assumed I was there for a teaching job, mentioning a 2,000 euro salary and, here's the kicker, a key to the gym. My pulse raced. That key was my golden ticket. "Yeah, teaching's my thing," I lied, my voice steady despite the panic. He hired me but asked for degree certificates by tomorrow. Problem was I had none. As I left, a kid locked the door and taunted me through the glass. I kicked it open, sending him sprawling, and walked out, my heart pounding. Outside, I saw Lacy. Try to stop some kids from smoking, but they ignored her. Without thinking, I snatched their cigarettes and crushed them in my hand, the embers stinging my palm. The kids bolted, and Lacy's eyes lit up with gratitude. "Coffee?" she asked, her voice soft. I nodded, sensing an opportunity. At her house, sipping coffee, I realized how trusting she was. Too trusting. When she stepped out to grab beers, I slipped sleeping pills into her cup. Guilt gnawed at me, but I needed her certificates to fake my own. She passed out, and I rummaged. Through her place, my hands shaking as I found her documents. Her printer was busted, so I copied the files to a pen drive. Just then, her roommate walked in. Thinking fast, I played it off like Lacy and I were having a moment. She bought it, and I slipped out, my heart racing. The next day, dressed as a teacher with my fake documents, I returned to the school. I saw a teacher, Nora, try to jump from a building, driven to despair by the students' pranks. She was fine. It was only one floor, but red juice from her bag spilled, looking like blood. "I'd rather die than teach these kids," she cried as an ambulance took her away. My stomach churned. This school was a war zone. At a staff meeting, the principal announced Nora was done with Class 10B, the school's worst class. Lacy volunteered, thinking kindness could tame them. I watched her crash and burn in her first class, glue on chalk, a broken tap soaking her, ink on her face. She fled, humiliated, her hand stuck to a dirty door handle. In the principal's office, she begged for help, tears streaming. The principal snapped at her, and I was assigned her old class. I told the kids to watch movies instead of studying, stealing their snacks to mess with them. They were stunned, but I didn't care. I needed that gym key. That night, I sneaked into the gym, my sensors beeping to warn of intruders. Using my phone's GPS, I pinpointed the money's location. Back at Lacy's, her roommate fixed the printer, and my fake certificates printed out. Lacy realized I'd used her documents and confronted me in the gym, her voice trembling with betrayal. "You're a fraud!" she shouted, threatening to call the police. I lied, saying I was exercising for health reasons, and she bought it. Her soft heart my saving grace. She agreed not to snitch if I took Class 10B. I jumped at the chance. Teaching 10B was hell. Obscene drawings covered the board, a mousetrap snapped on my hand, and a bucket of filth drenched me. When I called a student's name, every hand shot up, mocking me. My chair was glued with superglue, and later my car exploded with chicken feathers. I was losing it. The principal, watching on CCTV, laughed at my torn pants. Furious, I stormed into 10B with a paintball gun, shooting at stragglers to herd them inside. "Mischief's fine," I growled, "but disrespecting teachers? That stops now. This is a place to learn." Lacy walked in, stunned to see the class quiet. That night, I dug deeper in the gym, but the gangster called, demanding I leave since my debt was overdue. Loading my car, I broke the window and rain poured in as I sat, homeless and desperate. Lacy found me hiding outside her place. After a scuffle, she invited me in, offering food if I promised to teach for real. She handed me teaching books, her eyes kind but firm. I nodded, something shifting inside me. I dug into the students' records. They'd all done petty crimes. During a swimming class, when they ignored Lacy, I tossed one kid into the pool, scaring the rest into line. When two fought, I held one underwater until he apologized. At Jeneb's club, an old buddy offered me a heist, but I refused. "I'm done with that life," I said, meaning it. In the gym, I found a time capsule with a photo of a young girl and letters. They were Lacy's from when she was a student here, dreaming of being a respected teacher. Guilt hit me hard. I'd used her, and I'd barely finished school myself. The next morning, I woke up with my face painted like a clown, nail polish on my hands. The kids laughed until Lacy cleaned me up, her concern warming something in me I didn't recognize. I took the students on a tour, showing them criminals, addicts, and a retired bar dancer who shared her pain. "Being a gangster isn't cool," I told them. "Education's your way out." They listened, and slowly they changed, joining the drama club, science club, becoming respectful. Lacy and I grew close, our late-night talks turning into something more. At the Best Teacher Award, I won, upsetting Lacy. "You made this possible," I told her, holding her hand. "The kids love you too." We painted a bus with the students one night, laughing as we fled from the owner. Lacy said she'd never had so much fun. The kids adored her, hanging on her every word in class. I found the money in the gym but felt ashamed. It wasn't mine. I returned it to the gangster and Janeb, vowing to be better. At a drama competition, my students' glowing paint act won a huge prize. The principal offered me a permanent job and help getting a degree. But a student fell into my tunnel, and Lacy learned the truth about my past. "You used me!" she cried, demanding I leave. Heartbroken, I packed up. The students tried to fix things, claiming they dug the tunnel. Lacy didn't buy it. During an exam, she saw each student with a photo of their dreams, inspired by me. She found her childhood photo in my drive and read my letter, where I confessed she'd made me a better man. She tried to reach me, but I was gone, tempted by my old life. 3 students found me, begging me to return. That night, I showed up at Lacy's with handcuffs and a bag. She panicked, thinking I'd been arrested, but inside the bag was a dress and a rose. I proposed, my voice shaking. She said yes, and we danced under the stars. The principal called, offering me a permanent job despite my lack of a degree, promising to support my education. Lacy and I celebrated at a club, our new life beginning, not as a crook but as a teacher and a man in love.